Can you guys hear me? Give me 1 second here, guys. I'm having some difficulties. Let me get my I have to go to my settings and get this thing going. Give me 1 minute. Okay, you hear me now? I think I got the picture up, so. Okay, so let me look at your question here. So I know about resistance lines, or how can you call them, or fib. So fib is basically Fibonacci, okay? And I'll show you what I mean by that. Hang on 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. All right, so Fibonacci. So here, when you look at a chart of mine, and if you go to inside my YouTube channel, there's some training videos where I go over moving averages and Fibonacci. But these lines right here, like the 78.6, 61.8, 0.50, 38.2, those are all Fibonacci numbers, okay? So when you see that and you see me say fibs or Fibonacci, that's what those are. They're retracements from swing low to swing high. Okay, so real quick, I'll go over a couple of charts real quick. And this is the Bitcoin daily chart. And had I been awake, it would have been easy to say that this thing's breaking through and we're going to go make a new high, right? But when you see a fib cluster, it just kind of gives you pause. And when I mean fib cluster, that is, like I've told other people, is that you can draw multiple Fibonacci's from different areas, okay? And when you get something that lines up on each other, like right here, that's resistance. And it can be support depending on how you draw it. So if it's in a downtrend, it can be support. But this was obvious resistance. Hang on 1 second. The cat is screaming. Hang on 1 second. All right. She wanted inside the office. Okay. So anyway, and I had to redraw the Fibonacci numbers because I was drawing it from this high last night when it tagged the downtrend line. So I had to redraw it from here to here. And then, of course, it gets real close and tries to turn around right here at the 38.2, which if it can hold that, that's pretty bullish. Okay, so what information do I draw the fib? Okay, So let's just go back, and you want to look at a swing high to a swing low, okay? And so basically what I can do, and I'll just, you can just say, like, let's draw one from this high over here. And let me get my cursor going here, because you can see it better where I'm trying to circle at. Let me get that thing going. Give me 1 second. Okay, so now you should be able to see a yellow circle, okay, and you'll be able to see where I'm circling at and pointing to a lot easier. But you can draw a Fibonacci from this high right here down to this low right here. Okay, now these lows are pretty much the same, but once you draw it there, you draw it from here to here, and that gives you these Fibonacci numbers going to the upside. Okay, you can also go over from this high to this low and see what happens. Okay? And then lastly, you can also do something like this. Because when this thing was going down, oops, hang on 1 second. Whoops, missed that. From this one, there we go. From there to there. Okay? And that just gives you numbers going to the upside, okay? Doesn't have to stop at 0 or 1. It can go 1.272, 1.618. So it can go higher, right? And then I always tell everybody, once it hits that number, then just, or passes it, then just clear it out of your computer, clear it off your chart, because it's gone. I mean, some people like to leave them there and see what happens later, but I think it's just nonsense. Just once it breaks, just get rid of it. It's going to more than likely go on to the next one, or to the next moving average, etc. Yeah, exactly. Yes. And you don't really want to, you technically don't even really have to stop at just a daily chart. I mean, you can use if you start using lower time frame charts, it's going to clutter up your chart and make it look like a mess. But, if you go out to a weekly chart, you can do it the same way, right? And so I've got these Fibonacci's in. See all these lines right here? Well, I've drawn in Fibonacci from here down to here. Okay, and where we hit and where we stopped on that most recent high was the 61.8 fib retracement right there. And if we should break through again, then this area right here is going to be a mother to get through, and that's 14,400. And not only that, but it matches up pretty well with this little high right over here. So there's still a lot of, I don't know, people want to say that it's just going to go crazy to the moon, and it can, but I'm just saying there's still a lot of bag holders left over in this area right here that want to get out. And there's probably a lot of people that want to short it up in there as well, which is a double whammy. So anyway, that's kind of what I got there. Okay, blue collar. You have, 2 fibs, bull market high to bear low, blah, blah, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's just like I showed on the weekly chart, I mean, I'll always keep those there because I don't look at a weekly chart every day because it's a candle and it takes a week to do anything, but as far as drawing the fibs, yes, I always want to see where, because on a daily chart, I'll be able to go and look at it and I'll be able to say, wait a second, up in here's where we got stopped. And so I want to keep an eye on that area, right? And so this is the Coinbase chart, right? And so look at this. And this is where, I always like going back and reverting to my futures chart because it's a lot of times it just seems like it's a little bit more accurate. There's some slight differences only because the futures came open after this here. But I'll bring my futures chart over and let you take a look at it. It's, obviously it shows the gaps. Yeah, bullish and bearish market. So when you get like parabolic moves and whatnot, like Bitcoin had, those type of things, they don't last long. And when you start to get a move down, and when you cannot make a higher high, right, then you start a bearish trend. And until you break and make a higher high, when you start dropping, that's in a bear market. It just stays bearish, right? And it's the same way in a bull market, I mean, look at this move that ever since the bottom. Up, dip, up, dip. And here's the problem that we're running into right now, is that we'll see, right? And my other chart seems to think that it's a bull flag. This one may indicate that we're just in you could call it an ascending triangle, but you could also call it a descending if this line right here holds up as resistance. And until that breaks, and until we can get above this high right over here, that's going to be the key. We got to get up and make a higher high to sustain the bull market. I mean, we're still in it, but technically we're in a bearish trend, right? A short-term bearish trend. Okay? And when you look at, this 78.6 and downtrend line right here, that just tagged perfect today. That was, and then not only that, but you've got the squeeze indicator trying to go flat, which when you go back here and look at previous instances, it can stay flat for a few days, or it can stay flat for like this, where it does pretty much nothing and tries to build a bottom. Yes, exactly. I mean, you would want to see it close above that, right? You would want to see it close above that. And then technically what normally happens is when you get a trend line that breaks, okay, when it goes up, usually the herd gets in, right? Everybody wants to get in because it broke the trend line. And what happens more often than not to trick people is you'll get people that'll sell right after it breaks, and then it wants to come down and retest and make sure that it's good. And if it does hold that, when it comes back down and retests it, then you're good to go. Then it'll start taking off and making higher highs. So I get, my point is this, okay, is that it's a tradable market, okay? And I don't think you can do it two different ways. I mean, my way has always been to, if you can pick a spot that you're comfortable with, get in, but don't be afraid to take profits. It's not like, I mean, I know we've got 9 more months until the halving process takes place, but a lot of stuff can happen in 9 months. I mean, let's go back and look at Litecoin, for example. It didn't start to really move until a couple of months ago, or a few months back. But people knew about the halving a year ago. And they went through a lot of pain on the downside. So my suggestion, and again, I'm not a financial advisor, so, don't always listen to what I say, but don't be afraid to take profits. If you've got money made, then take some money off the table. It doesn't mean you have to sell all of it. Keep some of it, but have a tradable position. That's just my view. So anyway, here's what I'm thinking on the futures chart. So these Bollinger Bands, and it's always hard to type in channel. I hate typing. I really do. I mean, if I could get on and do a live stream every night, I probably should, but But here's my thinking is that, we got this upper Bollinger Band right here that's acting somewhat as resistance as well, right? And when you see price get outside of that upper Bollinger Band, you can get a couple of day move off of it, but it can't sustain, right? It always comes back inside. Okay. Okay, so best indicators to use. So I would say keep it simple. Okay, very simple. You want to use moving averages and you want to use Fibonacci. Okay. If it doesn't confuse you too much, then use Bollinger Bands as well. I don't do any special settings on them. I just leave them standard. Yeah, I just whatever's in there, I don't change them. I leave them on there the way they are. Default settings. So the thinking here, going back to this though, is that, we've got a gap still to fill right here, and we still have the big one down here, but you can see that there is some big time support right here. Okay, you had that double bottom. It doesn't necessarily, everybody and their dog knows that there's a gap down here, right? So everybody's buying ahead of it, or somebody is, to try to get everybody to think it's not going to happen. But we've got one gap here to fill at 10,870 on the futures chart. It'll probably be pretty close to that on just the regular chart. But anyway, blue collar, there's no rhyme or reason as far as, which, everybody has a preference over what you want. I've just always used the EMAs. Now I'll use the EMAs on like shorter time frame chart or time frame, you know what I'm saying? Like 10, 20, 50, maybe even the 100. And then a lot of times I'll do like a simple moving average on the 200, or I may do both on the 200. Because I've gone back and back tested, and I promise you, there's not a perfect EMA or SMA. There's just not. I just went back, and it's just easier for me to go EMAs on the smaller ones and then simple on the bigger ones. Although I will use an EMA on the bigger one as well. Just to see what's going on. But I think if you went back and looked at it on numerous charts, I think you would find that they're pretty close. They're not, they're roughly within maybe 100 sats or whatever of each other. I might be wrong on that, but that's just kind of what I've seen. The other thing I'm going to point out too is this 50-day moving average, or EMA average, in yellow, right? Okay, and I'm looking at this thing, and I have not seen a close. Okay, I've seen a wick below, but it has not closed below the 50 EMA since way, way, way back in here. And that's when we started to make our moves. So that's going to be a key area to watch, okay? But again, as we've talked about, things like to come and gravitate back towards the moving averages, right? And so if I scroll back, and then you can always see too, this whole thing, and of course this is back to when the future started up here, 20,000. That 100-day moving average just kept this thing from going anywhere. And then once it got above it, look what happens. It's amazing when you squint your chart a little bit and you get a bigger view of what's going on, especially on a daily chart. But to me, when I see the Bollinger Bands and I'm expanding it out a little bit, I've got them highlighted right here in white, okay? And again, I can almost envision in my mind, just like what happened back in here. You see this? See how they got tight? They expanded away from each other when the move was happening, and it chased the Bollinger Band up, okay? And then once it got up here, here comes your lower Bollinger Band, and then it gets tight. So I can almost envision in my mind a similar type of situation happening, maybe back in this area, right? And that's what, 10-3, 10-4. Doesn't have to be perfect, but somewhere in this area, and then we'll decide whether we're going down or we're going up. But I like to look at the squeeze indicator, and you can see when we were coming down, when you get that yellow histogram, that's kind of giving shorts a signal that, hey, don't stick around much longer, right? It's time to start thinking about getting out. And then you go flat, and then you get a blue histogram signaling that you may want to turn. Goes a little sideways, and then all of a sudden you start to get the histograms on the blue going up, and that's when you get your move. So if we can get the same sort of situation going here, then that would be good for bulls, right? So combine that with your slow stochastic, and we'll see what happens. But we're going to have a decision point, I think, coming up in here. That's just my view. I know everybody's got their Elliott waves and, whatnot, and who knows, maybe it could come back and fill this gap and then take off. But right now, there is just, it's a tradable market, just make sure you keep an eye on it and have stop losses. Any questions? Replay. Oh, the BB's getting squeed. Ja Allah. On the daily, BB getting squeezed. Okay, yeah. So let's just scroll in a little bit, and then let's do this. Okay. And so look at these Bollinger Bands. All right. You can see them. I got my mouse moved over them, and they're white. Okay. Let me refresh. I'm going to refresh this chart. Hang on one sec. There we go. That makes it a little bit cleaner. Okay, so like back in here, and I got my mouse highlighted over it, you can see when they get away from each other, then they come back and always tighten up. And when you get a move like this and they're staying tight for a long time, then you get your move outside, comes back inside, goes sideways for a while, and then you get another move. And then they always come back and they want to meet each other, right? Or get close to meeting each other. And typically what you would like to see is, I call the ricochet effect, right? Is it wants to hold the lower Bollinger Band, which is normally support, okay? That's always support that's rising up. And if it can hold that and then bounce off of it, okay? And just like back over here, they started to get just a little tight, not much, but it bounced off this, bounced again. I'm expecting another move. By the time I'm thinking, and this could be, what, mid-August, possibly? Maybe another retest of the 50 EMA, and right in here to maybe hold the lower Bollinger Band, and then we'll see if it can break through that downtrend line. But it could go the other way too. I mean, this up here was resistance, dropped hard. We're up here again. Does it drop hard? here's what I always look for. Or at least I like to look for is, and you can go back and look at this numerous times, but when you see price get outside of the Bollinger Bands, okay, when they get outside the Bollinger Band, and especially if they close outside of it, that is a warning sign that you need to think about taking profits, okay? Because price will normally revert back inside. The 50 EMA is at, yeah, pretty close, 9,900. Close to 10K. Yep. And so if it could hold that, and who knows, guys, I mean, it could hold the 38.2 right here and then decide to break higher. I mean, I'm just going off what I'm seeing. I just see that that area right up there was, you saw the type of move it had off that. Let's just see what happens. And especially with the squeeze going kind of flat, I'm assuming that probably tomorrow that we may have a red dot instead of a green dot. And a red dot is no touch. That means stay away. And there's always time to get in it. Okay? Everybody's always afraid that it's going to go, 10,000 points, or they're going to miss the whole going to the moon thing. No, you're not. I mean, there's buyers and there's sellers. So you're always going to be able to catch something, especially when it starts going in a trend. So for right now, I mean, staying above the 10 and the 20, that would be super bullish. But I would almost prefer that it come back and maybe fill this gap and hold the 50 EMA and then go higher. But we'll have to see. A lot of stuff going on in the market. Okay, so anyway, that's the futures chart. We'll go ahead and move it back out of the way. Yeah, I do. I mean, I don't know that it's going to happen like immediately or, like short term. Obviously somebody doesn't want it to get filled. That's why we saw the double bottom right there just above gap support. But it could. You just never know. I mean, there's any kind of news could come out and send this thing so much lower that we have no idea, right? What if an exchange gets caught for, scandal or, they're cheating or they just go bankrupt? What happens in an instance like that? I mean, it's doubtful, but any kind of news can come out of nowhere. That's just why you have to have stop losses in a reasonable spot. You know what I'm saying? So you just have to take what it gives you. I mean, but right now, the key to me, okay, and it's even the same on this chart with the Coinbase chart. I like when the moving averages are still going up, okay, especially the 50 and the 200. When those are going up, the 10 and the 20 are going to fluctuate, right? Those can fluctuate all over the place. But the 50 and the 200, as long as they're going up, it's a bull market, right? All this stuff in here is just nonsense. This is retracing. This is, whatever. But as long as these two can stay going up, then the trend stays up. Does that make sense? I mean, it's just like back in here. The 50 up here, once it starts turning, and of course price moved it that way, but even though it got down and tested the 200 down here, it still dropped another 5,000 points after it lost the 50 and the 200. And they started moving down. Now they're starting to hook up. Or they've been hooking up. So you can kind of see how the ebbs and flows of this works, and why a long time ago I was saying that everything always tries to come back and retest the moving averages before it wants to go anywhere. It's kind of like back in here. See this? I mean, I wonder what these people back here in September of 17 were thinking after it made this high and then came crashing all the way down to the 200-day moving average. I mean, you had the 10, 20 crossing through the 50, and everybody was probably thinking it was the end of the world. And then this thing turns and reverses and just goes ballistic. And I'm sure it looked ballistic back in here too, percentage-wise. But as long as that 200 is going up, that's your key. And especially the 50. I mean, the 50 is just money. Because even though it came down below it, it was still in an uptrend. So we shall see what happens. I am still bullish. Short term, slightly bearish, but mid to long term, I'm bullish. And wouldn't it be funny? Maybe not funny. I mean, I'm sure it would scare the crap out of a lot of people. But we saw back over in here when Bitcoin came back and tested the 200-day moving average after these big moves. Would it not be absolutely spot on if Bitcoin came down into this area, and let's just call it September, right? I'm just, in my mind, I'm picturing where this 200-day moving average might be in another month or so. Okay? Heck, it could be later this month. It could be the end of this month or September, and it could be right there at that gap fill area. Right? Before it wants to try to take off again. So, anything's possible. But that's why it's always good to have some Bitcoin, no matter what, in your account. I mean, there's probably too many people that are just 100% in or 100% out. And you got to have some in there you just never know. Never know. Let's see. Have I looked at the gold weekly and compared it to BTC daily? Gold did. I have not. I haven't looked at the gold weekly. Let me go see if I can pull this up. Give me 1 second, guys. I need to take a quick bathroom break. It'll be like 2 minutes. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so GDX, here's the gold. And so Fibonacci-wise, the 38.2 is obviously the key. It didn't manage to hold this low, so I can... Squeeze indicator is long, but it's getting a little weaker. It could still go a little higher, though. Could. My bearish outlook on Bitcoin. So my bearish thinking on Bitcoin, I'll flip back here just real quick, sorry. Is that I think we're probably going to come back into this area right here. You know, maybe back into the 10.3 to 10. Oh, well, heck, for who knows? It could actually even come back into here without violating these lows. It could hit the 78.6. And I think we've all seen what happens at the 78.6 retracement. More bullish would be, you know, holding the 50-day moving average. Super bullish would be holding the 10 EMA right there. And it's trying to hold the 38.2. But anyway, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I just think price is up here by the upper Bollinger Band. And I get the feeling that it's going to try to hook down and maybe these come a little tighter. That's just a guess, guys. I'm not like a magic man or anything like that, but that's just kind of my feeling. I mean, if it holds 38.2, great. And if you've got some, it looks good, but if not, you know, maybe wait for down in here. Yeah, well, agree. And that's what I was saying just a little while ago. I mean, this 200-day moving average, you know, it's like I showed back here, you know, when Bitcoin went on its big-time parabolic. Well, look what happened before. It tested it, and I think I actually posted a chart about this. I can't remember. But it touched it 1, 2, and almost 3 times. So 2 for sure tests, and they were big wicks, right? Big, huge wicks. But, well, 3. 1, 2, and 3. And then almost did it a 4th time and held it and then made that monster move. And, you know, right now, after breaking through it, we haven't even tested it once. Not one time. So we've still got a long ways to go, guys, before the halving. And so this thing is going to keep climbing, hopefully. And then we'll see what happens like at the end of this month or maybe even into September. I mean, if this just kind of thinks about flattening up in here, you know, I don't want to see it flatten. I still want to see it go up in an uptrend, but have price come down and test it and reject hard off of it and just go take off. You're talking about on Bitcoin, Jalal? Hang on here. Yeah, so let's go. Yeah, I mean, it's in that area, right? It's in that area. Close to it, yeah. And not only that, but check this out. You had a bearish engulfing right here, followed by a price drop. And now, the past week, we had a bullish engulfing. And then price going up. But what we need to watch for this next week, and it's still a long ways off, and I'm not even going to go there until price gets there, but or the candle closes. But if this thing closes at the low, then you've got a gravestone doji or a shooting star, right? So we're just, when you see wicks coming out the top, that's just what, you know, a guy I've seen called inventory retracement. That's just supply right there. That's resistance. So anyway, we'll see what happens. I mean, volume has definitely gone down. And then you've got the, you know, the stochastic RSI that's still, you know, bearish. It's in a downtrend. So until that kind of gets going like over in here and crosses, then you can start to think about that. But right now, I just think we got there's a lot of work. You know, it's going to be choppy, guys. I mean, we're probably going to see moves like this for quite a while. Up, down, you know, just choppiness until we get a, you know, base built in clear direction. So, anywho, that's what I got there. All right. Any chart requests? Any questions? Yeah, my Twitter account. So it's basically it's at CryptoFib, and I will copy and paste it for you. At CryptoFib. Short-term idea on Bitcoin. Again, like I say, I think, you know, we're probably going to gravitate back into here a little bit. I would think as long as price holds above this big green candle right here, as long as it holds above the low of that, that's super bullish, right? And you can see where the 10 EMA is right about there now. It's close. So I'm expecting a touch of the 38.2 and the 10 EMA, and then we'll see what happens there, right? But I think eventually price probably gravitates back towards the 50-day moving average around 10.3, 10.4, something like that. And then on the futures chart, that would fill the gap. You know, at 10, what did I say, 10 something? I think I had 10.7. Oops, hang on here. Yeah, 10.870. That's the gap to fill. Matic. Yeah, let me check here. That one had a pretty good day yesterday, didn't it? You want the you want BTC? Okay, I got you. Where is that one? There's so many charts on here. There it is. All right, so I may have to redo some fibs here because things have changed. I haven't looked at it in a while. That one was from there to there. Okay, so pretty interesting. I mean, I drew this Fibonacci, and you can see where it lined up from this low, this high, and bounced right around close to the 1.272 retracement. So we'll leave that one on there. Let's do this. Okay, and then interestingly enough, from this high to this low, it's reversed off the 1.272 to the upside. So let's do a little bit more. Let's take out some of these ones it's passed, and then we'll do a couple other fibs on it. All right, so stuck in between, but that's a nice reversal formation right there. That's pretty nice. You had some big volume right there. I don't know what the news was or what's going on with it, but that's pretty impressive. The only thing I'll say is that, you know, you would want to see the 10 EMA cross the 20, right? And I think once that happens, then you're going to see price probably revert back to it and test it before it wants to make another move higher. But let's go over here and let's just do this. And you'll get to see me do like some fib cluster stuff. And we're going to see, I have not, you've seen this. I haven't done this chart in a long time. But let's just do this. Fibonacci from this high down to this low. Okay. And let's just see if anything lines up, right? We're going to be able to tell where either major support or resistance is. All right. So there's a 78.6, 61.8. And there's the 50%. Okay, so close there. This is a resistance zone. That's a resistance zone. Okay. Let's do this. Let's draw another one. This high to this low. I mean, it can get a little messy, but you have to play with it, right? All we're after is big support and big resistance. So there's that. Okay, so it's already passed. Well, it's right on top of it, the 23.6, but it's, I'm just going to take it out because it looks like it's pretty much, you know, gone through it. So that's that. And then if you really wanted to say that that's the absolute bottom, I just don't like this long wick right here. It really messes charts up, but anyway, we'll give it a shot. And let's do this. And let's just go see where the 23.6 is. Okay, so here you go. So I've got a 23.6 and a 78.6, it looks like. So this area right in here, see where these little, see where the darker black is? That is like lining up right on top of each other. Okay. So 196, if things get kind of crazy, 196 would be a first area to think about. And then obviously at 268, that would just be massive. But I think right now you just want to, you know, you want to clear, you know, you want to clear the 50-day moving average. All right. Let's get past the 50 EMA because we know that's important. Get above it, maybe get up into here, and then come back and test the moving averages, and then try to take on everything else. But it's going to be a fun one to watch. Seems like. And that's, I don't know if, well, I guess some might even call that a falling wedge. Let's check it out. And it could have broken by now. See, people were probably drawing it like this, or they were probably drawing it off the body, like this. Kind of dropped below and then busted right back out. So, interesting. Doesn't look horrible. I mean, it made a higher high, so it busted above over here, right? Because you had lower high, lower high, lower high. Now you come up and you got a higher high. So now the question, can it just consolidate a little bit and then go over and make another high of this? And then eventually that. So those are going to be your questions. You know, if you're in, obviously, like I've said, I mean, taking profits is not a bad thing because I'm sure a lot of people were thinking over in here that it was going to go to the moon as well. and we see the end result. So just be careful. That would be interesting. Coinbase listing. Have I checked new coins getting added to Coinbase? You know, it seems like I heard that they were thinking about adding some, but I don't know who they're thinking about adding. So I need that information. Let's go look at Litecoin. Yeah. Oh, goodness. Oh, one. Okay. Interesting. I may have to check that one out. Litecoin, as long as it can hold the 200-day moving average, it's got a chance. But and I still just think that candle pattern right there, it's like back in here. Only just the opposite. It's weird. But I guess I can get rid of this right here. That was the 78.6. Let's get that out of there. And let's get rid of the 38.2. There we go. All right. So obviously some selling up above, just below the fib cluster here. At 111. So just staying in a range, it looks like, right? Choppy in a range, and then we'll see if it decides to sell off again. I'm still looking at this trend line. But as long as it holds above the 200, things are good. Okay, over to now. We'll check it out. Does anybody have any other chart requests? Let's go back and look at Bitcoin again. And just still kind of meandering around. Ethereum. Yeah, that looks almost identical to Litecoin, if you ask me. That pattern. And that just looks like golly, I don't know. It's just kind of basing. This thing could just go sideways for another month for all I know. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now. Ethereum, ETH. It's just staying in a range, Just staying in a range, but holding above the 200-day moving average. And it's holding the 10. There's your 10 EMA. See how it's squeezed in a little bit to look at it? As long as it can hold this little area right in here to, what is that, 220? As long as it can hold that, things are pretty good. But these Bollinger Bands are going to be a mother coming up here. Look how tight this is getting. That is getting super, super tight. Right there. And it's below the 50-day moving average, and that's been resistance 2 times, as well as the 38.2. So I would say above 238 bullish, below the 200-day moving average bearish. That almost looks like a bear flag, or that pattern doesn't. I don't know. I would like it a lot better if it just went sideways for a while. That would take that pattern out of my mind. But that kind of choppiness is just kind of, I don't know, makes me uneasy. But we'll see. I've been wrong before. All right. Let's see. Any other chart requests? Let's go look at... oh, that's right. Since I'm long on Link. Just kind of... I really expected by now that it might have maybe come up into the, $3 area, but yeah, it's just kind of the Bollinger Bands are tight and it's right in within the green zone. It's holding above that. 10, 20, 50 are all lined up right on each other. So I'm expecting a big move at some point here pretty soon. I don't know if it's going to be a news related event or if it's going to be a crypto market related event that either brings us down or takes it up. But anyway, that's what it looks like on Link. And then DGB kind of, that one kind of was a disappointment. I really thought that, this was a wild ass move right here. And that wick down was not real, by the way. That was some bad trade because if you go look on KuCoin exchange, it only hit like 83 or 80 something. So just something to screw with my charts. But anyway, really thought that maybe after yesterday off that low and then the bounce that it would have done a little bit more. I don't think that 116 high was real either unless it actually did that last night. But anyway, just kind of holding steady. It's just got to, let's see. I'd like to see it hold 77, but that's one that needs to get listed on Binance, if you ask me. But ZRX, let's go look. ZRX. I actually still have a tiny bit of that. Do you want the beast? Oh, USD. Okay. Where's it? I know it was in here somewhere. There it is. Okay. Wow. Unbelievable. I think this thing's it's making all-time lows. Oof. That's just ugly. Let's go ahead and do some fibs on it. Let's take, this is obviously gone. And let's get rid of that. All right. So where could a possible bottom be? Well, we're going to have to go fibs in reverse here. So let's go from this low to this high. And let's start setting this up. Take out the 50, 61.8, take that out. 261, now I'm going to leave that out. Okay. So I guess on ZRX, your possible bottom would be around 18 cents, maybe just shy of that, because you just never know if it's going to hit it right on the number or not. So somewhere in between 18 and 20 is possible. Could get to as low as 16. But man, this thing is just ultra bearish right now. I mean, this is just, it cannot get out of its way. ICO price was 10 cents. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, maybe it holds above that. Let's go look at another Fibonacci retracement real quick and see if we get a cluster. Oh. Okay, well there's one. And I just drew that. Did you see that? Is that not amazing how that lines up right on top of each other? There's probably your ultimate bottom right there. Or at least a good spot to play a bounce, right? 16 and a half. 16 to 17 maybe. That could be a really good spot right there. Wow. That's why I like drawing Fibonacci, right? Because you can draw it from multiple spots, but if you get 2 or 3 that line up right on top of each other, that's just golden. Absolutely golden. All right, let's see. What else do we got? Have you checked the link? Oh, hang on one second. Let me see. Coinbase. Okay, let me open that up. So I know a few of those, obviously a lot of them. ONT, Algo, Atom, Waves, One. Huh. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, if it's true, right? So they're exploring it, and obviously, if they list it there, the company's legit, right? They're not going to put something that's, I don't think, totally scammy on there, so it would make them look bad. That's interesting. I'll keep an eye on that stuff. Yeah, I'll keep an eye on it. All right. What else have we got out there? Anything else that was interesting today? Let's look at Neo. I haven't looked at Neo in a while. Where's that at? Or how about ADA? Oh, One. Yeah, let me do that. I thought I had that one. Did I not? Yeah, I did. Right there. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so let's do our Fibonacci's. And I'm just curious if that was like a 1.272 right there. Yeah, it was close. In between that and the 161. So let's go do some upside fib retracements. Let's do this to here. And let's see what happens with that. Probably a 618. Nope, actually higher. Ooh, higher than the 78.6. Interesting. Okay, so we'll leave that there. And let's go over and do from here to here. Yeah, there it is. 38.2. Okay. Let's go from here to here. And boom. Okay. That's interesting. Okay, so if this thing really kind of gets going, we got a fib cluster up in here where the 50-day moving average is, 50 EMA. Okay, so this, I would expect this area right in here, and I will just draw a rectangle on it. So, and you obviously have to go back to, let me do this. Actually, it was further back. All right. So this area right in here, that's going to be some resistance right there. Okay. And I will just flip it to, let's do, hang on. Let's change that to a green or red. There we go, red. Okay, so I'm colorblind. Close enough. So this is going to be an area of resistance, okay? So I would expect, and it's just classic too, look how it bounces off the lower Bollinger Band. Actually went below it, so that right there would have been a hell of a buy because the price was outside of it. Anyway, nice bounce back up. You know, more than likely it probably comes up and tests the upper Bollinger Band now, I would think, if they can get past and hold that 20. But up in here is going to be some big time resistance, so beware of that. You know, so if you're in, don't get greedy and think this is going to the moon. But then again, don't sell all of it either. Okay? You always want to keep some. It's kind of like I preached about is that get enough to get your original investment out, plus a little profit, and then you're good to go. And then you can always rinse and repeat. You know, if it pulls back, do the same thing if the trade lines up for you. If everything looks good, do it the same way. Add more to your position. Let's see. Yeah, ADA and NEO. Yeah, let's see. I was going to look at NEO. Let me go look at it real quick. Let's see. Well, I thought I had where it was. Well, while I'm here, let's look at ADA. Yeah, that can't get past that 20-day moving average, the 20 EMA right there. It just cannot get past that. And then the 50 obviously is going to be even tougher. I mean, it is hanging out at the lower end of the Bollinger Band, but it could, you know, just ride that down. Now the 10 EMA is becoming major resistance. Look at this. Rejection, and then rejection, and then now it can't even, it's just so weak it can't get past the 10 EMA. DGB USD. Let's go look at DGB USD. There we go. Let's look at it. We'll look at it on Polynex. Yeah, just still kind of trending down, you know. I mean, would have been nice if it could have held above the 200-day moving average. That would have been nice and get that thing hooking up. But now it's kind of, you know, flowing down a little bit. As long as it can hold right in here. What is that? Geez, a little less than a penny. Or right at a penny. As long as it can hold that. Yeah. Maybe. But we'll see. What else is out there? Oh, there's Neo. Okay. That one was messy. Let's see. Boy, that thing had a nice run, too. Too bad it couldn't sustain it. Let me go ahead and get rid of some of this stuff. I'm just going to start over. Actually, I'm using Coinbase Pro, and I like it. And I just got a an account with KuCoin, since I'm not going to be able to trade on Binance as of September. So I've got a KuCoin account, I got a Bittrex account, I got Coinbase Pro, the regular Coinbase. I think that's it. Hey Kevin, how are you doing? Yeah, let me pull up Litecoin. We were looking at that one earlier, and I was just talking about, I mentioned it a while back, but this candle pattern back in here, you saw the big green candle followed by a red one it wasn't like a bullish engulfing, but it was just that pattern right there that made me kind of, have some thoughts. And then I saw this one down here, right? Because you had the wicks that matched up, and then it drops. And then I see down here almost the same, and then wicks at the bottom. And so my thinking was that maybe it's going to do the same thing. Drop, go sideways, and then go up in reverse, right? This one went down. Maybe this one goes sideways and then goes up. That was my thinking. And as long as it holds the 200-day moving average, or even better, the 78.6, then I think things are good, right? And one could actually, and I'm just seeing this right now in my mind, I'm going to draw this real quick, but it has done this now. Little trend line right there. Okay. And we could also maybe do something like this. Okay. Some could call it a possible bear flag. Some might say it's just a wedge pattern, right? But I would want to see it hold the 200-day moving average. The Bollinger Bands are very tight, right? So look at this. I mean, price is already starting to get, enough volatile as it is. But Bollinger Bands are getting tight. The question is, how long will they stay tight? Could this go just sideways here for a little bit before it decides to go up, or come all the way back down and test this trend line? Okay. And by the way, that trend line has not been broken since the bottom back here in December. So it's very possible this thing could come down and test the trend line, but that means it would break the 200-day moving average, which in my mind, and we'll see if it's just a one-time event and a wick and then it turns, then that's fine. But I would want to see it hold in this area. It could wick a little bit below it, but I would want to see it hold this low, and preferably even this trend line. But we'll see. I'm going to leave that up there like that. Let's see here. Let me look at the questions. Let's see. Yeah, they need to stop ignoring Bitcoin or DGB. Let's see. Esteban, BTT. Ugh. Okay. Are you stuck in that one? I can't remember when it was. I could have sworn I said somewhere back in here, if it dropped below a certain price, get the hell out. But it's just kind of holding right here at 6 cents. And that's just... Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's... BTT, it's tied too much to, is it Tron? Isn't that like the spinoff or something like that? And it's broken this 127.2. I'll get that out of there. Yeah, no, I wouldn't be wasting my time on that thing. There's too many other plays, right? Why get involved with something, and I'm not saying it's a scam. I'm not trying to degrade it or anything like that, but that thing's too wishy-washy. Let's just, in my opinion, move on to something that can make you some money. Don't get stuck in something that makes you zero money. Don't tie your capital up, right? Find some tradable positions and build yourself a portfolio. You know what I'm saying? But you got to be able to get your original investment out and then make a little bit to do that. So, let's see. What else do we got? Man, God, I got so many charts in here. Unbelievable. What else? At one point, I had everything nice and organized, and then I came home one night and everything was all jacked up. And I was like, too tired to move everything back the way it was. Oh gosh, XRP. Ugh. That's another one. BAT. Now I will say this, BAT. I like. There it is. Wow. Okay. You may have asked about this one before. That's why I had the USDC in there. Okay, so your 78.6 is. I think I still had that from. Yeah, from the right here. Yeah. Okay, now let's do this. And let's just see if... What in the heck happened there? That's weird. Okay, that is not good. Let's do this. What the heck happened to my line? There it is. Okay. Let's go ahead and do another fib retracement, see if we get like a cluster that lines up around that 78.6. Let's do this. Well, lo and behold, look at that. All right. And there we go. Okay. So we had this fib retracement from the low to the high. I just drew it from this low to this high, and I'm getting a 78.6 and a 1.272 lining up pretty darn close to each other. So this would be my area to focus on possibly taking a position. Could it wick down into here around 16 and possibly get to the 161.8? Sure it can. But this is the area I would be focusing on. 17 to 18. Right? That would be the area I would be looking at. When I see a fib cluster like that, that tells me that those are two very powerful retracement numbers, right? Those two are powerful. So watch that area on BAT. What else? XRP. Yeah, I was looking at that one just a minute ago. Let's see, where's it at? Yeah, it's XRP just looks like I don't know. There's no other way to describe it, but then that thing just looks like garbage. I mean, it is holding this cluster area, it's like a lot of choppiness, and then a lot of choppiness. So could this thing, I'm not putting it past it. It's happened before, but could it make a pop higher? Sure it can. It did it back here when things look like, back in here looked like dog crap too, right? Choppy, nothing, hanging below the EMAs, and then all of a sudden, boom. So, it could do the same thing. I would be a buyer above the 50-day moving average. I would much rather play a breakout than try to, do anything else. That's my view. But it's got to prove it to me. And not only that, but if you're getting in here, what are you doing, right? What's this thing done for? It's been 30 to 32. It's just chopping. It's just tying up capital. Let's see. Theta. No, I've got that one in here somewhere. Let's see. Theta BTC. Oh, crap. Clicked on the wrong one. Doggone it. Oh, there it is. Okay. Theta. Ooh. Wish I'd seen this one a while back. It double bottomed right on the 1.272 retracement. That's impressive. That would have been a nice little move right there. Wow. Gee, almost a double. Good Lord. All right, so let's do a retracement and see where she's at, because stochastic RSI is getting, it's not, I mean, it can obviously go lower, but it's in a point to where you want to start thinking about it. So let's do some fib retracements and see where we're at. That bottom to this high. Let's just throw on our numbers. Past the 50s. Oh, 78.6. Okay. All right. So on Theta, you're probably wanting to, obviously hold this area right here. 1026 or 1026 sats right there. That's probably what you're wanting to hold if this is a new bear move, right? But you've got a bearish engulfing, and obviously it's made that move off the bearish engulfing. So can it just sustain a base right in here, or is it just going to drop all the way down to here? Right in here is a pretty strong area to hold. So watch that area. If it can hold it, then think about taking a position. You're going to have some EMA resistance right in here, but still, this thing moves well enough that if it gets a little bit of volume behind it, it can bust through that no problem. And then maybe even come up and test the 200-day moving average. Right? And speaking of, let's just do this. Since I didn't do that, let's go that high to this low, and let's just see where it stopped at. It's almost looking like it was the 61.8, but oh shit, hang on. Yeah. Pretty close to. So between the 78 and 61.8. All right. What else we got? Anything going on with Bitcoin yet, or is it still? It's trying to pop a little bit, isn't it? Just kind of meandering around. Somebody asked about BCH, Bitcoin Cash. Here we go. Wow. Wound up like a rubber band right here. You got the 10, 20, and 50 and the 200 all lined up on each other. See that? And your Bollinger Bands are tight. The only thing that bothers me, it just makes me nervous, man, is it's hanging right around at the upper Bollinger Band. I just... I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. If you start seeing a move below right here, which is 330, maybe let's even call it 327. If you start seeing a move below all that, then be careful, because this thing could just rocket right down and go right toward the trend line. And that's a from here about 120 point drop. So be real careful. Yeah, true that. True that. It's just I'm going back and looking at this and I'm seeing, higher high, higher high, higher high. It's got a ways to go before it can get another higher high going. Right? But it has got to hold that 10 EMA. This thing is trying, the 10 EMA is trying to hook up and trying to push it forward, but it's got to stay above that. It's got to hold that and get these things turned around. XLM. XLM, where are you? Okay. Probably passed it in here somewhere. I know I've got it in here. XLM, there we go. Almost looks like ZRX, right? I think it's in that category. So, the only thing is that, it's holding, let's do this. There's your support zone. Here, trying to hold there. And I guess I can get rid of these. Let's see. There we go. Yeah, right. Let's hang on here. I need to. I don't think I had the 1272 on there. There we go. Now here's what's funny, is that we know the 1.272 is a pretty good area to play a possible bounce off of. So wouldn't it be interesting? And I've seen this time and time again. Is that you got this low over here. And if it breaks that, I wonder how many stops are in there that would take it right down to the 1.272 and then just reverse it. That's what they do. They screw people. They go down, people, set their stops just below there, and then it goes down just below where their stops were and then turns and reverses. Give me 2 minutes. I'll be right back. Oh, good Lord. I've been talking this whole time and my mic was off. My bad. All right. So let me start over again. Nobody heard me talking about line charts, right? Okay. That figures. Okay, so basically what I was saying is from time to time, I will just switch from candles to line charts. And I think that people could see things a lot clearer. And yeah, right. Yeah, thanks, Peter. Joe. I'm not Joe. JR. CryptoFib. Anyway, I think it's just fascinating when you can throw on a line chart and just look at things. And what I was saying was that I'm not a Elliott wave expert by no means. But what I was saying was that an Elliott wave person back in the old days might have said, well, that's a bottom. That's wave 1. That's wave 2, which could have been an A, B, C, maybe, for 2. And then this is wave 3. Well, if that's wave 3, the one thing I do know about Elliott wave, at least from what I read, is that wave 4 cannot violate wave 1, right? So where does that put price at on a closing basis? It just means that Bitcoin should not close below 10,778 before it goes on and does a wave 5. Some people may say this is just an A, B, C, a corrective move, right? That's the only thing about Elliott waves that drives me absolutely bonkers. I mean, I couldn't do it. It just takes too much time. You have to sit there and go look at subwaves. You have to look at, and I respect those guys that do it. I respect the hell out of them because they take a lot of time and a lot of work, and a lot of it does work. But God praise them, man. They spend all kinds of time looking at this stuff. I know they do. And hats off to them, but I can't do it. Number one, I don't have the time. And number two, when I'm getting older the way I am, I want to keep things realistic, or not realistic, but simplistic. I just want to keep things as simple as I can because I think it's worked. I think my charts, other than I've had a few bad calls here and there, but I don't think I've been like horribly wrong. If I have, then tell me. I think I called, pretty much, the bull when it broke. I said if it got above this area, it's a bull market. And I've been putting resistance and support lines out there, and then if it looks confusing to me, I'm just not going to call it. I will not have a conviction about it. Yeah, it does, Peter. Yeah, has to. So, anywho, we're getting ready to see with Bitcoin, whether it falls back into this area or if it does break this and it breaks the fib cluster right there, then boom. I mean, it's going to get into 13,000s pretty quick. I mean, there is nothing resistance-wise that I have. Let me look at my futures chart. I don't even think I have anything there either. No. If it breaks 12,500 on the futures, then your next stop is, well, it's going to be 1,000-point move. Let's just put it that way. It'll be 1,000-point move. So We shall see. That's going to be a tough little area right there, I think. But you never know. That's what makes this just a fun market. That's what makes charting just so fun, you know, is that we can all sit here and speculate and think it's going to do this or it's going to do that. But yeah, I just... I just think it's so fascinating. It's fun to do. Yeah, Peter, that's what I was talking about earlier. I mean, it's a tradable market right now. You got these little ebbs and flows. It's a tradable market, right? It's tradable. You know, back in here, it's just it goes so quick, right? Which is fine if you break a high and you're holding in and you're good. You know, it's just, and this right here is just one of those moves when it rides an upper Bollinger Band. That's just so powerful, and it usually does not stay outside the Bollinger Bands very long, right? You can see here it gets above it, comes back in, breaks above it, comes back in, breaks above it, and then all of a sudden you get a big sell-off right back into it. So you can't get super, super greedy. There's always times that, you know, that you can buy and hold, but then you always got to beware, because look what happens back here when it broke above that big red stick. For somebody that was holding right here, it took them out right there. And what'd they get? They were probably sitting there going, oh, it's going to the moon. I'm holding. It gets up here and they take no profits. And then all of a sudden, one day, a big red stick comes out of nowhere and takes them out. Or scares the crap out of them. That's all emotion. That's what that is. It's all emotion. All right, guys. I'm going to give it a 5-minute call. 5 minutes. Then I got to go make some dinner. Yeah, it really is, Peter. I mean, you know, I don't care what anybody says. I really don't. I mean, there could be somebody that's been trading like me for years and years and years, but it's hard not to have emotion. You can't just be a robot, you know. Everybody's going to get excited. Everybody gets panicky when price goes lower. It's one of those things, you know. That's why, you know, my hat's off to those guys on Wall Street. You know, those guys. Some of those guys, they see something and they're like, okay, yeah, that was a bottom, and I'm gonna stick with it, and I'm not gonna look at it. I'll come and check back 8 months later, and we'll see where we're at. You know, those guys are in it for the long term. They could give a crap about what's going on day to day. And here we are, most of us on Twitter, posting charts every day, trying to decipher which way this is going. That's why it's always good to go back and look at, you know, long-term stuff, you know. Just scroll back a little bit. See what happened back in here before it made that move. You know, look at your moving averages. What are they doing? Yeah. Yeah. It is. But over the long haul, I mean, you know, if history is a gauge, right, with Bitcoin, and that's all we got to go off of, right, is just history, you know, is just look at your 200-day moving average. and your 50-day, right? Price gravitates back towards those. The 10 and the 20, like I said, they're going to be in and out, in and out. They're going to be up and down, up and down. The key is the 50 and the 200 always moving up, right? That's your bull market. Once your 50 starts to turn, then your 20 flattens out, price gravitates back toward it, and then you're in a bear market, right? That's your bear market. So now, like I said back here, above the 50, above the 200, we're back in a bull market, right? Back in a bull market. So until the 50 and the 200 start to flatten or look like they're turning down, then it's a bull market. And so you buy the dips. I mean, some people want to short them, and that's fine. But overall, it's a bull market. Now, midterm, we saw back over on the other side, it comes back down and normally tests the 200-day moving average, right? But I would think it would be a wick type of event. And then we'll see, maybe there's, I don't know, maybe that's what Bitcoin needs. Maybe it needs one of those one-day wicks that takes it all the way down here and then it rockets back higher. Clear out some of it, because I'll guarantee you there's a lot of people that bought back in here. They're just still kind of riding it. And then one day out of nowhere, we get that move like we did back in 2017, a wick or a couple of day event that just takes it all the way down and everybody panics or they get stopped out and then it reverses and goes back higher. So that's kind of the things you watch for, right? But right now, I mean, it's not panic mode. Not panic mode. I don't see anybody panicking out there. Fib orbit circles. No, I have never got into that. Nope. Again, I try to I keep it simple. I just try to keep it simple. Just trying to keep it simple. All right, guys. So it's time for me to go make dinner. So appreciate you guys coming in. May try to do this tomorrow. I do have to work late tomorrow, but may try to do it tomorrow night again. I mean, I find it a lot easier talking in live stream than trying to type in the channel. It's just too hard to convey my thoughts and all that stuff. So anyway, good luck tomorrow. I will try to make it back in the channel before I go to bed, but if not, y'all have a great evening and we'll talk soon. Appreciate you coming in.